Hi, I'm Dr. Mark Trexler with theclimateweb.com, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about the new NPR Ipsos poll and its implications, and what we might be able to do about it in terms of improving the state of climate teaching in the classroom. So let me first jump to the news coverage section of this mini brain and the story itself. Now, I'm going to go through a couple of the graphics that are in the story. So for example, teachers and parents generally agree that climate change is actually happening, a pretty high percentage. Generally, people agree that climate change should be taught in school. Again, pretty high percentage, very high among Democrats, much lower among Republicans. And that, though, translates into fewer than 50%, somewhere between 3 and 5 out of 10 teachers actually talking about climate change or teaching climate change, and less than 50% of parents talking to their kids about climate change. So it's an interesting situation that pretty much mirrors what we see in lots of other opinion polling and data where people accept the importance of climate change, but they don't know very much about climate change, they don't talk very much about climate change, and they really have very little idea what to do about climate change. And when you take a look at why teachers aren't teaching climate change, by far the biggest number, not surprisingly, is that it's not related to the subjects they teach, although I suspect that's no longer accurate given that climate change pretty much touches on pretty much any topic you could teach these days, and you could use climate change as an example of everything from earth science to math and data interpretation. But people do talk about not knowing enough about it, not having the materials necessary to teach the subject. And that's where the climateweb.com comes in, and that's where this particular mini brain comes in that we've built from the climateweb.com. And this is a mini brain for teaching climate change at the K through 12 level that you can download to your iPhone or tablet or desktop. And it basically pulls together a ton of resources that we've spent hundreds of hours putting together that are useful that might well be useful for many teachers in helping them think about how to approach climate change and what to talk about. We're not presenting the curricula here. Teachers have their own sources of curricula, but just for example, great websites with lots of information that teachers can go to on climate change. More than 100 great videos on climate change and video channels, and you can actually watch those videos right within the mini brain. And this is a great series to watch, the Peter Craven series. It's a bit old at this point, but it's still very current, and it's been watched more than 10 million times. So great videos that you can watch through the mini brain, books and reports that you can use, other resources for teaching climate change. And here we've pulled together a bunch of different stuff. For example, news coverage of the topic of youth activism, which might be of interest to teachers and students. And you can simply click on any of these and it will pop right up in the notes field of the mini brain. But it's not just youth activism. There's arts and humanities and what's happening there with climate change. Climate quizzes, climate quotes, infographics, all the different visualizations of sea level rise that are out there that might be interesting to students. Same thing for visualizing the temperature record. And last but not least in this category, who knew that there were actually dozens of music videos where people have adapted the music to focus specifically on climate change. And that might be of a lot of interest to teachers and students as well. So this mini brain is actually just one of a couple of dozen of these mini brains that we have that you can find at theclimateweb.com on the products page. And they tackle all kinds of topics that might be of particular relevance both to teachers and to you. So I'd invite you to take a look. Thanks.